7:54. Welcome back to Breakfast Television, and we are pleased to welcome to the program this morning musician Raine Maida, who joins us speaking at the Calgary Chamber as their Onward Summit about technology and creativity. So an interesting topic. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Many people will know and recognize you, of course, from Our Lady Peace, and so this is a bit of a different forum for you, but one that you've spoken to before.
I have. I did a chamber event in Edmonton, and I usually speak a few times a year. It's interesting. I think it's a challenge, when you're talking about creativity. And it's all about courage and fearlessness. And so even for me to get up on a stage without an instrument and without my band behind me and just talk about or tell my story it's a unique challenge for me.
Yes, and part of that story and that journey that began in the 90s, which was a completely different time. And
Right.
I was reading an interview where you were speaking about how it was about the craft first and technology came later, and now it seems that technology supersedes the craft. How do you strike that balance in the artists that you work with today in your own art form?
I mean, we're just surrounded by technology, so you implement it into your everyday lifestyle, and that obviously works with music as well. It's made it a lot easier, especially considering if you use OLP as an example. Two of us live in Los Angeles, two of us live in Toronto. So 10 years ago, it would have been a more difficult proposition, and now everyone just says, sends Apple voice notes back and forth, and there's platforms where you can almost write together, through an app. So look, at the end of the day, there's nothing like getting people in a room together,
Yeah.
and that's where creativity really thrives. But the supplemental way is also very interesting.
And in terms of the marketing piece of it, the following that is sort of required for perceived success, what's your perception on that?
I guess because I grew up just before it, I'll give this example, working with, producing or writing with other artists. If you get a really young artist that comes into our studio in Los Angeles, they'll spend more time on Facebook and their socials than with an instrument in their hand.
Really?
And that really gets to me in terms of, it's not their fault, it's a product of the time we live in and where technology's gotten to, because you kind of got to wear two hats today, right? You have to be your own brand before you've written a song. You have to have your own merch company before you've written a song. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit backwards, but the music business has never been healthier.
Sure. Do you think that there's a happy medium in terms of, being an artist and also having the brand?
A happy medium. What I do know is that if there's one thing I've learned over my course of being an artist, is that just being in that creative realm, it's one of the biggest keys to happiness that we've overlooked. So brand, artist, whatever, as long as you're being creative that way, I think it's a very positive and powerful move.
Yes, and you have the opportunity to influence your children who are also interested in music. We were speaking about this. And what do you see in them and how they're growing up in this day and age with technology and how they're also able to be creative?
Yeah, I think, my oldest son, he already has on his phone, a bunch of different platforms that he can create music on, and he's doing that. I never did that at 13.
Right.
I never had that ability. So the fact that he's so far ahead of the curve and really the production skills, that's what he's doing, and it's pretty fascinating to watch. And with those tools at his fingertips, he's developing a whole different skill set of musicality than traditional musicians ever have. So I'm really curious to watch it and see where it goes.
Okay, fascinating. And you'll be speaking today at the Calgary Chamber. It's the Onward Summit, which is sold out. So if you have a ticket, lucky you. Thank you so much for joining us
my pleasure.
this morning and scratching the surface on this topic to be delved into more today at the Chamber.